Namaste, everyone. Today is January 31st, so we'll be beginning a brand new month. Valentine's is around the corner, and I want to share with you guys a beautiful insight that I received this morning. As some of you know, I wake up sometimes at 3 in the morning, and this is a perfect time to have communication with the divine intelligence. And these conversations go extremely deep. I just want to mention that if you do not have the opportunity to watch this entire video, just watch it another time. This message came in such a synchronicity with Valentine's, and it can be applied throughout the entire year, throughout your entire life, which is quite amazing. So I want to make sure that you receive this message to its entirety, as it was dictated to me by the divine intelligence. Before I start, you're going to have to get used to this if you're going to watch my videos. I will always praise the Lord, our Lord Creator, the divine intelligence, through a specific mantra, which is the Gayatri mantra. This is a mantra we practice in the early mornings, invoking the light. And you would say, well, the sun's going to rise anyway, and that is true. But this particular mantra activates the light of your Ajna chakra, where the wisdom and the light of truth can penetrate the mind, the intellect, so then wisdom can blossom. So you guys are going to have to, unfortunately or fortunately for you guys, benefit from this mantra as well. It is honoring as well the divine spirit, the divine intelligence. So here we go. Om Bo Bruvaswaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Argo Divasya Dhimahi Dijo Jona Prachodhayatum. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Thank you for taking the moment to allow me to connect to the divine light of the universe. As I mentioned, this dialogue between the divinity and myself falls extremely perfect for this time frame, and the message is about desire and consciousness, the human, this mechanic we call our body or ourselves, and the human mind. So I'll start with the consciousness, and there's only really one consciousness, which is the expanding consciousness of the entire universe, of all worlds, of all beings, of all dimensions. And human beings click into consciousness, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm conscious of speaking with you, doing this recording. I'm also conscious of my environment, but then there's the subconscious effects, which I'm not controlling my heart and my body's functions, or this intelligence, this consciousness is flowing through me, being part of me. It also controls the subconscious, which is blinking, um, eliminating waste and toxins from the body. It's such a beautiful intelligence, and it is extremely dynamic beyond comparison. We can never fully understand how dynamic and interconnected with so many other relationships to everything around us. And we're so used to being on autopilot, like when you are in a vehicle, you get in, turn on the engine, put on your seatbelt, and here we go. And if you're heading to work, it's just like you don't even think about it. It's like your car technically or yourself is self-driving. It's such a natural event for you. And then consciousness, which is really collecting or connecting with the now, the moment, is such another powerful force, and it's very simple to do. Um, so if you're ever overwhelmed with emotions and feelings and thoughts, just stop and just the way you get into the very moment right now is I'm right here, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm recording something, there's sunlight outside, I'm enjoying the view, I'm enjoying a glass of water, and so as you almost coach yourself, you are getting into the now. So I wanted to share that with you of the differentiations between consciousness, subconsciousness, and how they are all interconnected. Give me 1 second. It's 3 p.m. This is the perfect time for communication. Desire. Many of us hear the term, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, never really grasping the dynamics behind that statement. So I'm going to clarify just the icing on the cake of this one simple statement. In our desires, we all have desires. We desire to eat, we desire to be loved, we desire for happiness, we desire joy, we desire peace, we desire a big chunk of everything. And consciously and subconsciously, we don't really understand what this desire is and where it emerges from. Where does it come from? And so I'm going to cover that. What is desire? Desire is the wanting something that you do not have at the present time, and you have the idea or the concept that once you obtain this particular desire, subject, person, place, or thing, that you will have happiness. And as you all will come to know and experience, that these desires of happiness or obtaining something are very transitory. They're only for a moment. They don't last long periods of time. And what occurs is let's say if you obtain the desire, once you obtain it, after a while you may get bored with it. You may then a new desire arises because that one's been fulfilled, or that one particular desire begins to cause certain changes and effects, and it may not give you the desire. A great example is I want a wife or a husband. That's a desire, and then your desire is granted to you by whatever means, through magic, through asking the divine, getting out there, and so now you have this partner, and now a few weeks down the road, he irritates you or she irritates you, starts charging up on your bank card and has smelly feet, and you now begin to have discomfort. Excuse me. Now your desire that you wanted so much and cherish and coveted so much, it kind of makes you uncomfortable, not satisfied, and so a new desire arises. Now, what is all this going on? What is happening within me that's causing this new desire or this not wanting what I wanted before? This is deep, so please bear with me because I have to be able to use the correct words to transmit a communication that's from spirit down to matter. So we're almost coming into February, and a lot of you are single and would like a partner or Valentine's, you know, and that's very nice. And one of the reasons why we desire this so much is because we want to love something and be reciprocated with love. You then create this desire, and we all go through great lengths to obtain this desire. We go through these great lengths to obtain this desire. But how does the desire evolve to make us go after it? And so, because we are a spiritual being in a spirit and a physical body in our physicality, there are intelligence, a divine intelligence, which many of us consider consciousness. And there's a biological process occurring in our body. And that's, you experience it as feelings and emotions. But let's dig deeper into what these emotions and feelings are. And what they are is biochemical reactions in your body. When I desire a partner, it's because I feel that by me obtaining this partner, I will be satisfied. I will be whole. I will be one again. And this is a trick of the mind. One, we are love. We're never alone. And everything we really desire is within ourselves. But something occurs, there's like a trickster in the mind. And so we desire this partner. We want this individual. And the reason you want this individual or this thing, this desire to be fulfilled, is the biological process we call hormones and chemistry. And you can break this all down to food, love, sex, relationships, work, money, etc. And it's extremely influential in our mind and our decision making. What is really occurring in that desire is that you are an addict. We are addicted to our hormones and these biological processes. And that's how we can explain it on a physicality. So the next time you see someone like a heroin addict, an alcoholic, please have some compassion with them, because you are no better than that addict. That addict is chasing his desire to feel fulfilled, to feel whole, and so he's obtaining that satisfaction and that desire through an external chemical. And as we know, with addiction and alcoholism or food binging, we take the drug, eat the food, and we become satisfied. Well, what occurs chemically in our body is that because we gave the missing to the body now produces hormones and enzymes to, if it's food, digest, etc., etc. If it's love, when our partner touches us, we get so excited and we're like, ah. Oh. But in reality, it's not the partner, is what he does or she does that triggers the hormones. So we're addicted to hormones, which then make us make decisions. When there's a shortage or the high is gone, we want to refill on that high. We want that high. We need it. And so if you have a partner, be like, hey, honey, let's go have sex, or give me a massage and give me a hug, etc. Because every time they're touching you or you're consuming this, your body produces a satisfaction hormone, and you are satisfied. So you're not really desiring the person, place, or thing. You're desiring the chemical reaction that occurs in your body. So we are addicted to the chemical, not the person, place, or thing. It's chemical. And isn't that amazing? So when you start looking at it, when you get a desire, you understand that there's a chemical. Your body's hungry for this chemical, and you now can recognize it's my addiction to feeling loved, feeling satisfied, feeling love. Some people aim for money, and they have a belief that if I have money, I can now buy all the things that I need and go wherever I want to go with very little limitations. And it's not the money that they're chasing the hormone satisfaction that the money provides. Relationship. I want a relationship because it satisfies my addiction to my hormone treatment, my hormone release. And that's very deep. So now when you receive a desire, you now understand that your body's asking you for hormones, a chemical process. And that desire makes us go cuckoo bonkers, doing all sorts of things, magic, black magic, getting into fights, starting trouble, even becoming a recluse of all sorts for attention to receive our dose of hormone. Just like an addict, he gets his high, he's flying, woo-hoo. And as the high begins to drop, he wants to refill again that satisfaction, and so he goes back out again and cops, whatever it is, to obtain, re-nourish the body. So the mind becomes addicted to the hormone, becomes addicted to the chemical processes. Washing machine's on its way. So, if you know where you begin or where the journey starts, you know the destination. If you don't know where it begins, you don't know where you're going. So it's very important to know where the beginning subtle desired, the beginning stage, so we know where our destination is. Attachments. So we become attached to an individual or place or thing because that attachment is linked also to our desire, which triggers a hormone reaction. It all will lead back chemically back into the mind. And the reason I can also scientifically express to you this process is if your partner was not present at the moment and you close your eyes and you begin to envision this individual in your presence, it might be a past event, or you may imagine and fantasize of him being right at the room with you, touching you, or etc. Or even having that drink. You're at work, it's 6, it's Friday, you're like, oh, that drink is gonna make me feel so good. And so you've imagined this, and there's also a small chemical release being done. If it's like a partner, a love relationship, you can imagine that man touching you, and you will, your mind through the fantasy will begin to release the chemicals and make you feel sensual. A man can get hard with just imagining the act with a woman, or a woman with a man, or interdimensional. So all these processes, all these desires are really occurring in your mind, and that gives you an idea of where you're starting, where your desire for person, place, or thing starts. It's a desire in your mind. The sensation, even if it was physical, when he or she is touching you, you are also receiving chemical and energetic stimuli which release the hormones and chemicals, and that's what gives you satisfaction. So this might get a little, let's call it dirty, but we're adults. So it's like for a woman, for instance, she may see a really hot guy, and she's like, oh my God, this guy is the hottest shit I've seen since 3rd grade. And she even looked at and spotted that he had a nice juicy package. She's like, oh, I want to rock this one. This one's gonna satisfy me. So your emotions through your imagination begins to fantasize, and there's like treats of hormones. And so now let's create the scenario. The man likes her as well, and they hook up. And as they're having sex, he sucks. Gorgeous, right? Everything, but just he sucks and sacks. He sucks and satisfying you. And so you go your own way, and then you're like, boy, he would have been perfect. He had all the qualities that I like visually, but when it came to stimulating me sexually, he sucked. And this happens because through whatever modality he was doing, you weren't stimulated enough chemically. And so because he cannot arouse you and satisfy that desire where you had like a rush of hormone, we say it sucks. You meet another guy and he's not as attractive, or etc., and yet he has the ability of touching you the right way, of kissing you the right way, of giving you the affection and taking you into that orgasmic experience, and you're like, holy mother of God, Jesus, this guy, I mean, he rocked my world. And that creates an attachment, because now this gentleman or young lady number 2 can stimulate you. And it's not so much as the individual himself, because he may be a terrible individual. He may be broke or doesn't make as much money as you. Of course, we said he was not as attractive. But the way he chemically treats you and makes you feel, you override all the rest, because that none of that matters. What really matters to you is the chemical satisfaction, the high. It fulfills the addiction. And as I mentioned, he might be a terrible individual or may not meet to whatever standards it is, but because he can give you the satisfaction chemically, you will tolerate, and most people do this, we tolerate physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect, all because we want to always ensure that when he touches me, I am satisfied, my addiction is satisfied. So as I mentioned before, in the journey, if we know where we start from, we know where we're going. And so now that you understand that what you're really chasing after is your addiction to these chemicals that are happening in your mind, now you can rationalize clearer and says, well, I'm attracted to this guy, or I want this guy, or I want this relationship, or I want this vacation, because you want to feel good, and you want your addiction to be satisfied. Once you know that portion about yourself, if you, let's say if you're married, and some guy or woman triggers these, fantasies in you, you can immediately catch yourself and says, what I am is I'm addicted to the chemical reaction. Excuse me. And this individual, place, or thing is triggering me to do that to satisfy my addiction. And that might help you do self-correction and says, this is not the right thing to do morally and spiritually to my husband or my partner. And so it gives you an understanding to make a better choice, to be a better human being. Because we know now that it's a chemical reaction. Now, we can't also use that as an excuse and says, well, I cheated or I overspent because I have an addiction. And you also can't. And you could also say, I'm working at it. You could also look at this addiction and says, I need to tame it, because every time I allow it to take so much control over me, I can do really stupid things. I can spend more money than I should. I get into the wrong relationships. I choose the wrong job, etc. All of this is happening chemically in your body and in your mind. So now for Valentine's, if you end up finding that special Valentine's, which I hope we all do, realize that what you're really after is satisfying your addiction. And if this individual does not come into your life on Valentine's or before or after, just know that it's okay. Also know that you can mentally fantasize and be sexually or physically satisfied, because you can imagine the whole thing. If you closed your eyes, there's a whole new world all available to you. And science has shown as well that through scanning of the mind, that you can have an athlete perform physically, do the activity, and the brain goes into action. And then they've taken the same athlete and had him imagine the act of doing the performance, the workout, the run, etc., and the same parts of the brain activate with the same satisfaction, with the same results. And that's pretty amazing, because everything is occurring in your mind. In the Hermetic text, law number 1 is all is mind. And so I've just described, as I mentioned before, the ice, one slither of the icing of the cake. So as I mentioned, I hope you guys, your desires are fulfilled so you guys can get your addiction satisfied. But know that all addictions are temporary. All things in this life are temporary. And you can activate those hormones and chemicals meditating, thinking about it, fantasizing about it, imagining it, having it. And that also helps if you're doing the law of attraction and you're working magic, lighting candles and invoking things, because you're imagining and you're drawing that onto you. All that is happening within the mind, and the mind is projecting an energetic field through your intentions and your desires to bring that onto you. Pretty amazing, huh? Can you imagine at 4 in the morning when these streams of data are coming in, like, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, oh, holy moly, this makes so much sense for my own behavior. And when I see others and their behaviors and how deeply our desires and our addiction controls us. So as I mentioned, once you know what's triggering you to be crazy and spend more money and go after the right or the wrong guy, you know, so you can put the reins on that horse and says, hold up. This is all occurring to me chemically, biologically, and it's normal and it's okay, as long as, of course, I don't take it to an extreme beyond extreme, where I hurt someone else or I'm performing aka immoral acts. So honor yourself, accept yourself, love yourself, and it's okay to have desires. It's okay to find self-love. It's okay to express who you really are. And don't take anyone's words for that. We are all beautiful, and what makes us so beautiful is that there's no other individual quite like you. None. Some may look alike, but they have different attitudes and different opinions and different incomes and different intellectual things. They are not exactly like you. So honor yourself. Honor the love for you, for who you really are. And you can't express love if you're bankrupt. If emotionally and spiritually you are bankrupt in love and compassion, you can't express it. You have to have that self-love. And when you have that, it radiates outward. And everyone, all those desires, tune into that frequency, and those things are drawn to you. So if you're looking for partners, love thyself. And you will see that everyone else will be drawn to that. Like, this individual loves themselves so much, they respect their temple, they respect who they are. And I'm attracted to that. They may not have all the money or the greatest of whatever, but I'm attracted to how loving and deep this individual is. That excites me. And so because you have, you can give. Pretty amazing. The divine being that we are, the divinity that lives inside of us, our spirit, our soul, and this body that we use to move about into our reality is amazing. The multiple functions it does is amazing. The processes of the mind, amazing. All these amazing characteristics and traits of this threefold: mind, body, and soul. And that's you. You, the divinity expressing itself in physicality. So I hope this inspires each and every one of you. And gives you guys all a better understanding of who we really are. And if you would like to continue to receive these, let's call them intellectual, spiritual, conscience conversations, please, you're more than welcome to make donations on our website. We have a button for that, so we can continue to explore literature and do our practice for spiritual enlightenment. And I'm more than glad to express these things with you guys. And I try to narrow it down so it's on a broad spectrum. We also have a therapeutic consultation, and these are, unlike this, which are public, that one's personalized. And based on what your needs are, all our conscience and spiritual energy is focused onto you to give you that elevation, that wisdom, those intellectual lessons to grow, to expand. So those are, that's called therapeutic advice. And then we have, I'll be doing these guys, which are generalized for everyone. So if you're interested in something personal, we do have our therapeutic advice. And if you would like to continue to experience these conversations, please, you're more than welcome to be a sponsored patron on our website. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate you. I appreciate my existence. I appreciate my connection to the Divine Spirit, that He uses me as an instrument to disseminate this information for the well-being of all human beings, because we have to expand our consciousness. That is part of our freedom. It is part of our right as spiritual beings to reconnect to what we really and who we really are. So I ask for your hearts to open. I ask you guys to have an amazing, amazing life experience. And thank you for joining and chiming in. And I also welcome comments. And see you till next time. Namaste.